Hey everyone, my name is Angie and welcome to my channel, Angie Rose Nomad. And today I have a video for you guys on the big books that I want to get read in 2019. So if you have watched the first video on this channel, which is my 2019 project / TBR, I have planned to read books from my own shelf this year. And I have several big books meaning over 500 pages, that I would like to get through. So we have to jump right into this video because my battery is low. I just filmed another video, so if this shirt looks familiar, then sorry. But let's just get into it. So the first book, of course they're way out. My family likes to tease me that I have alligator arms. You know, that commercial where they're like, who's gonna get the check? And he's like, I have alligator arms. Yeah. Anyway, the first book is going to be The Count of Monte Cristo. That's not the book. But can we rewind a little bit? Let's try that again. The first book is going to be The Three Musketeers by Alexandre Dumas. I have also been contemplating reading The Count of Monte Cristo. I have it somewhere in my room, just not sure where, but I think that the stack I have here is more than enough. This follows our main protagonist, young D'Artagnan, and his adventures with Porthos, Aramis, and Athos. And yeah, I've been wanting to read it for quite a while. I have actually started it. I've gotten to page 170, so yay far in. But I think I'm just going to pull out my bookmark and restart it. I really liked it. I just got really busy and didn't have time for a big book at that time. So the next book I have is the third book in the Song of Ice and Fire series, better known as the Game of Thrones series, and it is A Storm of Swords by George R.R. Martin. My copy is actually in two pieces. The first one is called Steel and Snow, and the second, I think, has something to do with gold. Blood and Gold. So, I plan on reading them both. This is just the only one that I pulled out. It is over 500 pages. Because Lord knows, George R.R. Martin is a lengthy writer. So Robb Stark is actually wearing the crown. He's just been named King of the North in this one. And then the War for the Iron Throne just is raging on. But if the wall is breached, no king will live to claim the Iron Throne. So I can't wait to see what the characters are up to in this book. I have already read the first two. I love them. Love the TV show as well, so yeah. Next up, we have The Black Prism by Brent Weeks. I have read by him, what have I read by him? The Way of Shadows and Shadow's Edge. I am not sure if I read Beyond the Shadows. I don't think I did. I enjoyed The Way of Shadows, and then I thought Shadow's Edge got a little off topic. And I heard a lot of people say, you know, this is his best work to start here. So this follows Guile, and Guile is a prism, the most powerful man in the world. He's a high priest and emperor, a man whose power, wit, and charm are all that preserves a tenacious peace. Yet prisms never last, and Guile knows exactly how long he has left to live. When Guile discovers he has a son, born in a far kingdom after the war that put him in power, he must decide how much he's willing to pay to protect a secret that could tear his world apart. Sounds very good. The next book I have is a rather enormous book, and that is Les Miserables by Victor Hugo. Unfortunately, it got a little water damage. That's okay, we'll still read it. So I actually started this book quite a while ago, and I made the mistake of watching the movie first, and then when I started the book, I was trying to put scenes in and sing songs where they didn't belong. So I thought, you know, let's just put a little bit of space and distance between myself and the movie and then try the book again. So I think this is the year that I at least want to get halfway through it. At least half. I think I can do it. What do you guys think? Think I can? I think I can. The next book that I have is Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. This is by Susanna Clark. And it follows the story of a guy named Jonathan Strange and a guy named Mr. Norrell. It takes place in 1806 in England during the Napoleonic Wars. And magic is dead in England, right? But then this guy named Mr. Norrell comes along. And he proves that magic is still real and becomes an instant celebrity overnight. And then a guy named Jonathan Strange joins the scene, and he actually is trained by Mr. Norrell, and then they eventually become partners. So Jonathan is younger from what I imagine when I read the back, and he is very brash in his magic. He is very experimental and wants to try new things, where Mr. Norrell is more conservative. And it says on the back that Jonathan is increasingly drawn to the wildest, most perilous forms of magic. He risks sacrificing not only his partnership with Norrell, but everything else that he holds dear. Sounds great. It is well over 500 pages. The next book I have to show you, The Romanovs. By this guy, I can't. I've tried. I can't. This follows the Romanov dynasty from 1613 to 1918. I bet you guys didn't know that one. And if you've seen my first video where I talk about my January TBR and how I got really carried away with the Romanovs, I am sorry. I love the Romanov history. I'm fascinated by it. This is going to be my fill, all that I can take. So this talks about the Romanovs and their rule, and how they controlled a sixth of the world, I believe. Yeah, a sixth of the world's surface for 3 centuries. That is crazy, you guys. So this talks about their rise and how they brought up Russia from, being like a joke to one of the most powerful countries in the world. So keeping in the Russian theme, I also have St. Petersburg, Blood, Murder, and Art on the Banks of the Neva. This is by Jonathan Miles. And on the inside it says, this is an epic tale of murder, massacre, and madness played out against an unforgettable portrait of a city and its people. So this follows the city itself when it's first founded by Peter the Great back in the 1700s. Ooh, man. 1703. And all the way up to the present day. It talks about how, it was an epicenter to Europe. It was the window into Europe. It was a great art center, culturally diverse, but also how much blood it has on the streets and the political uprisings that occurred there, and where, Stalin and Lenin both made their moves, if you will. So, sounds really good, really rich with the history of the city. All right, next up, we have The Silk Roads, A New History of the Old World. This is by Peter Frankopan, and I've started it. I am not very far. Page 12. I've started though. So this talks about the Silk Roads and how the East was actually the start of civilization, how it was the cradle of the world, and basically takes a look at history through the eyes of the East. So it sounds really interesting. So it says on the back that far more than a history of the Silk Roads, this book is truly a revelatory new history of the world, promising to destabilize notions of where we come from and where we are headed next. And the author, from what I have read so far, was talking about, he had this thirst for the world and this knowledge that he needed to have filled. But whenever they talked about the East, like Asia, the Middle East, etc., in his history classes, they just glossed over it. And this is his take of what was going on, but from the East. So it sounds really, really fantastic. And it was actually quite an easy read once I got into it. I was pretty excited. All right, so next up we have A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness. This is the first book in the All Souls series trilogy, and it follows the story of a girl named Diana Bishop, who is a scholar at Oxford University, and she is looking for this text called Ashmole 782, and she's also a witch. So something about this text is telling her that it has a lot of magical power in it, but she wants nothing to do with it, right? So she gets it for her research purposes and then quickly puts it back on the shelves. But unbeknownst to her, this text has actually been, hidden for many, many, many years. And with her requesting it and pulling it out, it actually brings all these people that are coming to look for this text. One of them is a vampire by the name of Matthew Claremont. Yes. And he practices yoga, apparently. And it's just the story of their adventure. And yeah, I know it's a show that has Matthew Good, and I know that it sounds like a great book, so let's go. And then the very last book I have is The Magician's Apprentice by Trudy Kavanaugh, and this is the prequel to, I believe it is called, what is it called? The Magician's Guild. And it follows the story of Tessia, who is an apprentice healer with her father in their village. Her mother would much rather her be married off, but she's like, nope, I'm going to do what I want, and that's helping my dad. Until one day, a visiting mage shows up in their village, and things get violent, and she's trying to defend herself, I believe, when all of this magic comes pouring out of her, so she becomes the apprentice to a magician and learns all about magic and sorcery and things like that. On the back, it sounds super interesting. It actually says, events are brewing that will lead nations into war, rival magicians into conflict, and spark an act of sorcery so brutal that its effects will be felt for centuries. So I was interested in the Magician's Guild, and then I heard someone, this was years ago, talk about how you should really start with this one because it's amazing. And when I can, I prefer to start with prequels because I hate going back. I would much rather go forward many, many years than have to go back. And, you know, I have already caught a glimpse of someone. That's just not my thing, and I cannot wait to start it and see what I think of Trudy's writing style and the story. So there they are, guys. The 10 ginormous books that I want to read in 2019. I think I have bitten off more than I can chew, and I will be extremely happy to get through 6 or 7 of them. If you have read any of these books, let me know down in the comments below. Let's chat about some great books, maybe give me an order or something like that. Or if you have any recommendations for big books yourself. I always love recommendations. They get me in a little bit of trouble though, because my wait list at the library is so long. They're always like, Angie, no, enough. You cannot put any more books on hold. So if you like this video, please click the like button and subscribe to my channel and turn on that notification bell so you can be made aware of whenever I post a new video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will speak to you soon. Bye.